fully fledged six-figure business that operates part-time. So that's how we did it.
Wow, this is incredible.
Ask your people what they need, take the time, make them feel seen, even if it's a big company.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of Sphere of Success, the podcast that looks at challenge and adversity in business and how we alchemize that into something that's really quite wonderful. And today you're in for a treat. We're going to speak to the lady who really takes the biscuit. That's going to absolutely be understandable when we go through this, because this lady runs a business who has the most amazing biscuits for corporate clients, for people to say thank you, I love you. They're all so special. So, and there's going to be an introductory offer as well, so that you can have some of these amazing biscuits less than what she charged everybody else. So I know that we're going to have an in for a real treat today. So without further ado, the theme of what we're going to be talking about, because this is just a hug of a podcast today, is how we can lead with kindness. We're looking at power and purpose within an organization, how we can do that in today's fast pace. Really, kind of like some people really aggressive in business, aren't they? But actually, you know what? We can take a different view. And also, for all of us wonderful female entrepreneurs out there, how can we, as busy mums, as ladies with lots of responsibilities, run a beautiful, wonderful, purpose-based business, but without the guilt? And actually, we're having our biscuit and eating it too, which I think is just fantastic. So today we have with us the most amazing lady, Lisa Shepherd, and I'm going to read her bio for you. So Lisa was born in and raised in Germany. She has a degree in transcultural communication from the University of Vienna, Austria. Volunteering in the Galapagos Islands, she met her British husband. They traveled the world together before settling in Leeds in the UK. Now, Lisa has two wonderful children who are not only her pride and joy, but also her greatest teachers. Oh, I think that's lovely. Together with her friend Saskia Roskin, she founded The Biskery. I think that's the most amazing name. I just think from biscuit to biscuit is fantastic. An online business that specializes in personalized and branded biscuits. The real product, however, is kindness. I mean, Lisa just exudes kindness. It's just a wonderful business that she's in. And not only do they help spread kindness in biscuit form, they capitalize on kindness in all aspects of their business, from the way they interact with customers and staff to impact they have on our planet. And wait for this lady has got the most amazing vision. Her vision is to make 1 million people feel appreciated. Isn't that just wonderful? And to introduce more female qualities into the business world, remove the stigma associated with working mothers, and run a purposeful business that enables women to combine a career with motherhood without the guilt. Wow, welcome, Lisa. I am so excited for today's episode. It is an absolute privilege and a pleasure to have you with us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction. And also, I loved all the puns.
I know, they were all ad-libbed. I'm sure everybody went, no. But forgive me, indulge me, because
No,
this
it
is
has to be
just,
done.
oh, it's just a wonderful business that you're in, and everybody listening and viewing as well. I know that we're really going to be interested in hearing more, because this is really important, leading with kindness in business. I mean, this is just, it can be a game changer, but it's not an easy route. So I get this all the time, heart-centered entrepreneurs, etc. And people think that's a bit wishy-washy. So I
Mm.
think we're going to dispel that myth the moment that we actually get into the meat of our conversation. And so I'm going to just dive in here and say, how is it in the biscuit, in the company, on a day-to-day basis? What's going to be displayed when you're leading with kindness?
I think ultimately it is that every interaction we have is comes from a place of kindness. So our biscuits are essentially vessels of kindness. They're there to forge human connection. I remember having conversations with people a few years ago who said, "Oh, you must really love biscuits." And Saskia and I were like, "We like biscuits, and don't get me wrong, our biscuits are amazing, and we love food." But it is the impact those biscuits are having. So if we were amazing graphic designers, then we might be selling cards, but we are more the foodies. So we went down the biscuit route. But it is how many clients of ours have told us over and over again, it is more than a biscuit. It is the kindness those biscuits spread and the human connection they can forge.
And what is it about? I know we're British. Well, I'm British, and that cup of tea and a biscuit. I mean, you can solve the world's problems over a cup of tea and a biscuit, can't you?
Absolutely. And it's more than, again, it's more than the cuppa and the biscuit, isn't it? It's the moment that you pause, that you take a breath, that you go, hold on, what actually needs to be done here? Why am I running around like a headless chicken? Does this all is this important right now? Or do I just need to take a moment and tackle the day with a different energy?
Absolutely. And you mentioned that pause, that's so important. How do you see people in your business? Because you've all come together as busy mums, and it's not that you might be working full time. Some people I know work on a part-time basis and shape it around the family. There's going to be a lot of people out there, employers, and this isn't for the guys as well, it's not just for the ladies, is how can you build a business that is actually so accommodating to the main employees and their needs and what tell us, what do you do? How do you do that?
I think we've essentially turned things on its head. So we don't necessarily look at the bottom line first, at the money that comes in. We look at, covering the needs of our staff, because our staff are our biggest asset. We produce handmade biscuits. Everything is made by hand, whether it's impressing the little messages into the biscuits or putting the fondant on or putting them into the bags. So we need humans. So our humans are the most important asset for us. So we need to look after them. So the way we approached it, Saskia and I started the business when we were new mums, and we felt not very seen in the agency we worked in. We came back from maternity leave and were expected to just carry on as if nothing had happened. But this massive thing had happened, and we weren't really the same person anymore. So we're leading with that lived experience, and we know that people have a lot going on at home. Work is important, and we're very ambitious and take a lot of pride in our work, but you can't compare your work to your family and your children. So we come at it from that side. We say, you know what, if your needs are covered, if you know that your seniors understand the juggle and the challenges, then and we offer you a framework within, that there's space for that, then we know you'll do your best in the time you're here. And that's absolutely what's happening. So our team, sometimes the core hours are school hours, so most of us are in between 9:30 and 2:30, and in those 5 hours we move mountains. So we are essentially, a fully fledged six-figure business that operates part-time.
That's amazing. Say that again. You are a fully fledged six figure, I'll get my teeth in, six-figure business that operates part-time.
And profitable. So, people talk about revenues like, yeah, that means nothing.
Yeah, profits for sanity. Absolutely. Wow. Now, how did you do it? I mean, there's an ingredient, isn't it, when you make your biscuit and there's a process. How did you get a six-figure profitable business on a part-time workforce?
So I think there's two sides to it. I don't think we could even replicate what we've done. I think there were a few moments in time where things just aligned and we were in the right place at the right time and we had the right skills and the right messaging. So if I cover that one first, that's maybe harder to replicate, is that we started with this dream of building a life that would work around our families and not the other way around. We felt, our children are only young for maybe 10, 15 years, and then they might not want to be around us so much. We have that little window where we want to be with them. How can we still bring all that energy and creativity and drive that we have and put it into something outside of motherhood, where we were appreciated for, only having part-time but still having full-time passion. And there was nothing, so we started our own thing. The thing that helped us was that amount of passion. It was the fact that Saskia and I got on so well and have a completely aligned vision, have very similar values. I think if I was with someone who always just looked at the numbers and went, yeah, but we could be more, carve out more here if we use plastic over compostable bags, then we might be seven figures now, but we would have to compromise on the things that are very important to Saskia and myself. So again, the shared values are very important, and it's something that I think has helped us on our way. And another jigsaw puzzle is probably puzzle piece is the pandemic. So we had built up a nice B2B customer base before the pandemic. And then obviously in the pandemic that completely fell apart, and we had not a lot to do, but we still had our day job, so it wasn't a big deal. We're like, that's fine, we know we're financially we're okay. We just, again, we have so much to give, what can we do? So we started sending out free biscuits with encouraging messages, which we call kindness biscuits, just to make people feel more connected and less alone in that time of isolation. And what happened is the media picked up on that, and as a result, our B2C orders skyrocketed, and we had like 400% increase of sales. And we looked at each other and we said, if we can thrive in a pandemic when so many businesses are struggling, if we have this B2C arm when B2B isn't doing well, when normally it's the other way around, what are we waiting for? So we left the day jobs, went into it, started hiring a team. And again, we stayed true to our values. We're like, we can only work part-time. Let's hire people part-time. Let's see which hours they can offer us. And then we found 3 ladies who all started at 10-hour contracts, which worked for them. And when the world reopened, B2B came back, and yeah, we've not looked back. So I think that's the bit that's hard to replicate. The bit that's easy, and the other thing I forgot to mention is our day job was in a digital marketing agency. So we were experts at being found on Google. So when we launched our own business, we knew what to do on our website for people to find us on Google. So if someone typed in branded biscuits, we were number 2 after a few years of operating, which is a massive advantage. Again, a bit harder to replicate. But the thing that isn't so hard to replicate, I think, is to lead with authenticity. So throughout the whole journey, Saskia and I have not kissed any frogs. So we were like, this isn't working for us, let's not do it. And we want to really send out these free biscuits. 100 business people would tell you that makes no business sense, sending out free stuff. We're like, that's what we feel like doing, and essentially that's what made the business. So I'd say, over anything else I'm going to say today, lead with authenticity and trust your instincts. And even if it doesn't work, in a sense, you will still then be where you need to be. So that's how we did it.
Wow, this is incredible. And as you're doing this, and you mentioned then you had a 400% increase in orders, the media got hold of you. Can you mention any of the publications and the media that got in touch with you?
It was a lot of local press, even though we did it UK wide, but we have since been featured. We've been on BBC Yorkshire, so BBC Look North. We've been featured in Forbes. Yeah, we've had a good exposure. We won a Great Taste Award that got us a lot of media attention. So for a small business, we are shouting a lot about what we do. But again, it's for more than the biscuits. It's for the approach that we take to business, and the impact we see our little physical products having, and also the way we do it to include women and working mothers into the workforce.
And I'd like you to pick up now on this female collective that you have, which is fabulous. Um, how can you, as a busy mum, loving your family, they take the priority, the business is coming in as an additional value creation within your life. How do you do that without the guilt?
I wish I could say there's never any guilt. That would be a lie. So I still have days where I struggle with guilt, but what I've realized is there is no balance. So I think it's an absolute myth when people talk about work-life balance or having it all. I think essentially we forever need to recalibrate, and we need to be present. I think that's what I found. When I'm at work, for those 5 hours, I'm present at work. Of course, if school calls, I take the call. But when I'm with my children, I'm with my children, and I leave the phone in a box. I close the laptop, because if I don't do that, lines begin to blur and I get stressed and I get, angry with my kids because they interrupt me while I send an email when actually it's now family time. So I think boundaries is probably the key to it, to go, I can have it all in my way. I might have, never live in a mansion, but that's not what I need. Um, but I have the freedom to work the hours that my business and my family need me. I have the freedom to create the business in a way that makes me feel really proud, and I'm really hands-on with my kids. So I think that for me is is how I can do it as guilt-free as possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's so, and thank you for sharing that because I think that a lot of people, especially mums and dads,
Mm.
you have your kids for a reason, don't you? You want your kids, and then when life is there and you suddenly think, I've not been to the sports day, I've not been to the nativity play or whatever it is, what the kids are doing. And those activities that are important to build memories with your children, perhaps you look back and you think, oh, if only I had my time again.
Mm.
And because you're doing, and I know that just before we came on air, you've had a couple of weeks away from the business. Was that an element of complete shutdown? Did you have times when you worked the business throughout your vacation? What happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. When we first started, there wasn't a day off. It was like being a student again. Like we were forever checking the phone, emails. There was only Saskia and I. We did everything. We had to go to the supermarket, buy the ingredients. We had to take the product shots. We had to build the website. We had to promote ourselves. We had to do all the baking, packing, posting. So that was stressful. But I think what happened in that time is it was a very steep learning curve, because I hit something. I wouldn't call it a fully fledged burnout, but I started to have symptoms of burnout. So my memory was starting to be really bad, and normally it's quite good. Um, and a few other things. And again, Saskia and I, because of the business and also outside of business relationship that we have, she looked at me and she said, just switch off, just go away, just turn the laptop off and do what you need to do to be yourself again. And that was about maybe 4 years ago. And I think I took 2 weeks and I just read a fiction book, a really thick book that she had given me years before. And I was like, yeah, I never have time to read that because I have two young children and a business, and thanks, but it's never going to happen. And I sat down and was like, I'm going to read this book. And it took me 2 weeks. And it was massive for me to. I learned so much in that time because I came back totally refreshed. And it was just 2 weeks. I mean, what is 2 weeks in the grand scheme of things? But if I hadn't listened to that gut feeling, if I hadn't listened to those little symptoms going, you're not quite right, I might have then had burnout and been off for a year. So I think again, because we lead with so much intuition, we listen to those tiny little symptoms and we go, okay, actually this is what I need. So now we are at a stage where we have a wonderful team who can run the biscuit without us, essentially. So Saskia and I are there to shape it and direct it, and obviously bring in new business and promote it and do things like this. But the 2 weeks I was off, they didn't need me once, which is massive. So again, we're now, as a business, we're about 5 years old. Before then, I call it a glorified hobby. So I think you do need that patience. I think if you want to start the business and be where we are now, that's maybe not realistic. So I would say you have to wade through the mud a little bit to get to a point where you can actually switch off.
And so, what does success look like to you now with the Biscuit from when you started it?
So I think when we started, we didn't dare to dream up where we are now. I think we thought, we started as a market stall, we sold once a month at a little market stall. And we thought, oh, maybe at some point we have a little cafe or do regular pop-ups. But we had no idea there was a market for branded biscuits, and the branded biscuits is really where that's the revenue driver. The B2C is the story driver. That's where we really, we send biscuits for someone's 100th birthday or for the 70th wedding anniversary, and that's where the stories are told. The B2B, the logo biscuits is where the revenue comes in. If a big company places an order for 10,000 biscuits at Christmas, but we value them equally, obviously. But I lost my train of thought there.
No, well, you were saying about, the fact that 100th birthday and celebrating that connection is just as important to you as winning a big contract.
Yeah, so the success, that's what you asked, isn't it? So
Yeah.
success for me today is waking up, like coming back from a 2-week holiday like I did on Monday, and being excited to see my team, and being excited to open my email inbox and see what Q4 has in store for us. And at the same time, knowing I'll be at the school gate in an hour and a half, and I walk home with my children and I spend the afternoon with them. And we have a roof over our heads. We have a modest but homely, nice home. We have a car. We can go on holidays. I think a lot of the time people are sold this lie that life isn't enough and you have only made it if you have a villa in Spain and whatever expensive car on your drive, or several of those. And I just don't believe in that, because I've listened to too many stories to see that it doesn't buy you happiness. So I think I dare to ask for less almost, and again, that gratitude is also a big thing for us in the business. So every Tuesday we send out free thank you biscuits to help people spread more, like show appreciation for other people. And that's that mission that we're on, to make people feel appreciated. Because I think if we had a bit more gratitude for what we already have, we didn't need to push so hard and kiss so many frogs, and be maybe dishonest with ourselves, and be in jobs that we hate. And it might sound really privileged. I know there's people out there who have to kiss a lot of frogs, but we essentially we were at that place where we were in a corporate career, and we didn't feel seen, and we didn't feel supported with what we needed at that point in time. And slowly but steadily, we built our own thing, and that is success for me.
How do you think that a business owner within a corporate, as you've said, and I've experienced corporates as well, and I'm not knocking corporates, there's room for
Mm.
everybody. With the fact, though, when you've got a lot more people rather than a small team, somebody listening to you now that thinks to themselves, well, you know what, it's all right for the Biskery because they've not got thousands of people in that environment. When you look at that and you think about the little things that you would have changed around, and I say the little things that you would have
Mm.
changed because often they make the biggest difference. What would you have said in your corporate life so that any CEOs or people on the board of bigger organizations listening to this can think, oh, perhaps we can adopt this little strategy or this form of gratitude? What would have made a difference between you and Saskia staying in your role or thinking as you did, no, it's not going to change and so we're out? What would have those little things that they could have done to help you?
That's a really good question. I think it is the tiny things. It is literally asking, realizing you're back from maternity leave. What is your biggest challenge right now? Just a question like that. What do you need help with? What would help you make this transition easier? And I remember having return to work interviews and all sorts, but it wasn't about that. It was more, you can go to the room and use the breast pump, like god, like that is, it was so stereotypical. It's like that's the least of my worries right now. But again, it's the assumptions. I think, I think I'm a big fan, rather than assuming or reading in a leadership book what I should be doing, I ask my team. I'm like, guys, what do you need? Because even with working mums, everyone's needs are different, because some have 2 kids, some have 1 child, some are single moms, some have a standard family. So you can't ever make assumptions. So I'd say ask your people what they need, take the time, make them feel seen. Even if it's a big company, if you give everybody 10 minutes, or if you divide it, you will have managers who can speak to their people, and really really listen to what they need, and again, don't make assumptions about output because of their situation. Because what happened to me, I returned from maternity leave and I was immediately deprived of my senior title, which I had worked for years to get. And I was still on the same money, legally they couldn't pay me less, but I wasn't allowed to be client facing anymore. But that's the bit I liked. And their argument was, well, you work part-time now, so what if the client wants to see you on a Friday and you're not there? And I was like, I mean, it was pre-pandemic, so the world was a little bit different. But still, I just, maybe Saskia and I are quite unconventional. We're like, there has to be a way. Like this can't be the reason why you don't trust me to do my job anymore, because I'm not at work on a Friday. So I think it's looking at the bigger picture and going, actually, what might sound a big deal isn't a big deal. And what might sound like not a big deal could be a big deal. So just looking at the bigger picture and really asking for input.
And I love the fact that you've just alluded to this. The status quo doesn't need to be necessarily the way that it always is.
Oh,
And to
absolutely.
actually push back on that perceived, oh, we do it like this because we've done it forever, isn't necessarily reason enough to continue doing it.
Absolutely. And if you look at it, it's not working, is it? Like the world is on fire. Like people are burned out left, right, and center. Mental health crisis is here. The planet is suffering. There's wars in Europe. Like it's not working. So you can't tell me that the way we've been doing it is great. And looking at the whatever figures and skim them off the top, it's not working. So we're here to try it a different way.
And with the element, and thank you for that, doing it different, because you do it different. You do it different in the Biskery. I mean, it's like a catalogue of this is the norm and this is how we do it, which I think is amazing. And the fact is that you're getting this group of ladies, I would say, in your business that are coming together. How do you make sure that you make the right choices for your business and for people to be able to fit into what is a very unusual but very profitable team of people? How do you make your hires?
Again, quite unconventional. So people still send us CVs, and I don't think I've actually properly read one of them. I think for us, we want to meet people, we want to see them face to face. Um, we want to see how what they're like face to face, and then we usually do a trial day where they get paid for their work, just to see how they fit into the team, how proactive they are. Because as you will know, with a small business, proactivity is the main thing we need from our team. That there is no, oh, that's not my job. Like everybody has to do a bit of everything at times, not in your day to day, but when Christmas comes and we get really busy, there's Saskia and I, carrying boxes up and down the basement. So there is no, I'm too good for this, or I'm too qualified for this, or it, it's a, this is what needs to be done, and we're a team and we help each other out. So we want to see that people are proactive, they get stuck in, they're supportive of their peers. Like that's really really important for us. I think when women work together, you can almost feel how we all go through our cycles. There's days in the month where some of us might not have 100% to give, but then there's days in the month where we have 120% to give. And if we're a team, then there should always be 90% across the team. And that's how I see it. I don't expect people to be robots. But as long as at the end of the month everybody's done what is expected of them, and we communicate that, and we come together as a team for socials outside of work, and then we have team meetings, we have one-to-one check-ins. So yeah, there's enough crossover to really get to know people.
And as far as emotional intelligence is concerned, it sounds to me that you have got a group that's got a high level of emotional intelligence, that they're not just wanting something that's prescribed, that they're being proactive in like, how can I help? What can I do? I'll get this done for you. Or yeah, if you watch my back, I'll watch yours kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, how would you say leading with kindness actually helps to support people's emotional intelligence?
I think it's the old thing of people don't listen to what you say. What sticks with them is how you make them feel or what you do. So I try to be a good role model. If I come to the biscuit and I see there's a pile of cardboard, I take it to the bin. Like I'm not the boss who goes, oh, I've got my latte here and you can do that. I think we're very much again, we're a team and I'm a part of that. And I might work from home a few days because sometimes I need to get my head down and look at numbers. And I can't do that when it's like a big open space or there's music and there's six people chatting and my brain doesn't work like that anymore. I can say it used to be a lot fresher, but now as I head into my 40s, I'm like, I can't concentrate. So I'm working from home a few days a week. So I'm not always present, but when I am, then I'm very much a team member. And whenever I notice someone is a bit off, then I pull them to one side and don't go, I've noticed you made a mistake, but I go, are you okay? What's happening with you? Do you want to talk? Is there anything you want to discuss? So, and you wouldn't believe the amount of times I do that. And what I find out is that they haven't slept all night because their child was sick, or their granddad is in hospital, and I think, again, we make too many assumptions about people. We expect them to be robots to sit at work and churn out the same, output day in, day out. But that's just not how humans work, especially not in a creative job. And if we actually took the time to look behind the face we can see sitting at the desk and said, what's happening for them, then we could help them. And even just talking about it sometimes does the trick. If they say, oh, I feel better for saying that, and thanks for bearing with me today, and tomorrow's a new day, and well, yeah, of course. So again, it's maybe a more female way. I don't totally like the dichotomy, and I don't also, we're not anti-men. We have naturally attracted women, but if a man knocked on the door and wanted to become a team member, it would be more than welcome. But I think the way we do it is maybe more female if you look at the community over the individual, and sort of a warmth, and it's more for the impact than maybe the money at the end, although we obviously look that we remain profitable. So we're not just we're not a charity or we're business for a reason, because we want to almost prove to ourselves and others that it can be done this way.
What advice would you give other founders, female founders, male founders, listening to you now and thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind running a business on the similar framework of what you do? What would be your main advice, and how you lead with kindness and in a purpose-driven business, how you lead from that heart-centered approach, from a community approach, but also you're checking in with the individual. So it's very individualistic as well. What advice would you give to people who are thinking, I like this style, I think that could be really good for us?
I think the first step would be to become clear about your own values, like what is important to you and how can you integrate that into your business. Because what I'm talking about at the Biscuit, that's very much Saskia and my baby. That's important to us. We want a place where people feel welcome, feel seen, feel supported. We work with natural ingredients and locally sourced high quality ingredients. We don't use plastic. So those are values, sustainability, family friendliness, kindness. That's our values. So I'd say for you, if you like this, great, adopt it, but don't do it if you just like the sound of it, if it's not you. So I'd say get clear on what's important to you, and then do a roadmap. Like, what do I need to do in my business? Because I feel then if you work from a place of your intrinsic values, you don't need external motivation anymore, because it is what's naturally in you. This is what I'm here to do. Like, I want people to feel appreciated. I want people to connect with other people. I want people to feel like they belong. I don't then need to go, oh, it's Monday, I need to go to work. I'm excited to keep chipping away at this project. So I'd say get clear on what matters to you, and make that the way you do business.
That is so beautiful because it's open to interpretation, isn't it? It doesn't have to be exactly along your lines, but it can be something that's a hybridized version, maybe. And again, your value structure, I think, is great. And men and women, as you say, I know that you're an inclusive organization, everybody is welcome from the point of ethnicity or sexual orientation or from that whole thing around, men, women, abilities, non-abilities, etc., all very welcome in the Biskery. At the moment, it seems to have been a predominantly female environment that have been attracted to that, but there's no reason why somebody else can think, oh, that sounds like it's good for me as well. What are your plans, let's say, in the next year, 18 months for the Biskery?
Um, I think we have plans to take the biscuit to a certain turnover with a certain profit margin, which would mean that Saskia and I can maybe hire people that would almost replace us so we can make ourselves redundant, and maybe work on something like a book or a podcast, which is something that we'd love to do. Um, that is almost the North Star. We might get there, we might not get there. In the meantime, what we do to get there is focus on what works best for our business. So it's like I said, a split between B2B and B2C. B2B is the bigger split, it's about 80%. So we're very active on LinkedIn because we speak to business owners there. We go to business fairs and expos and we connect with strategic partners to just to make sure people know we exist. We're going off to Ideas Fest next week, which is like a festival for small entrepreneurs. So we're doing our bit to be seen and spread the word about what we do. And obviously our Google advertising and all of that to keep ticking over, but we don't have a plan to get into Tesco. So that this is not there is no seismic shift. I think we're at a place now where the machine is well oiled, it's running, and it's just a case of doing more and better even of what we're doing now.
Wonderful. And at the start, I mentioned this amazing offer that you've got for the people, that the listeners and the viewers of this podcast, that's exclusive to them. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. And you will put it in the show notes, but I would love to offer your listeners a 15% discount as an introductory offer. You can head to our website, which is www.thebiskery.com. The Biskery is with a K, so Biskery. And you can check out anything on the website. It might be a little box of 6 biscuits for your granny, or it might be a box of 50 biscuits for your business. So I have a tiny example here. So we make these jammy Dodgers are sort of our signature product, which can be embossed with any name or message. And then we do the logo biscuits, so any logo can be put onto a biscuit. And then we do completely bespoke things like, Christmas is coming, so we could do anything, any vision we can turn into a biscuit. And if you use the discount code SPHERE15, which Deborah will put in the show notes, then you can make use of that.
That's wonderful. That's Sphere, by the way, SPHERE 15. So that's the code Sphere, SPHERE 15, for that amazing offer that Lisa is providing our special viewers and listeners today. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. And is there anything that we haven't discussed today that you think would be nice to mention before we close?
I think we've covered a lot of ground. I think it's been great. If people want to connect with me or have any specific questions, maybe depending on where they are in their journey, I know it can feel quite overwhelming, and I'd love to encourage anyone to follow their path and trailblaze their path even. And if there's any specific questions, then they can connect with me. The best place is probably LinkedIn. So you find me if you look for Lisa Shepherd, the Biskery.
And that's that's the Biskery.
That's it.
The Biskery.
A
Yeah.
mix of biscuits and bakery. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, I tell you what, I think you've done the most and are doing the most amazing job. And you're doing it differently and you're proud of that. And I wish you every success whichever way you want to take the business. And also for the people, the team, the Biskery team, they're doing an absolutely phenomenal job as well. And it's just proof that leading with kindness, having a purpose-driven business is something I think which is absolutely you and I, we sing from the same hymn sheet. It's a joy to work in those businesses and people stay longer. I mean, this is the thing. They love it. They don't want to go anywhere because it suits them down to the ground. And that's hugely beneficial on all sorts of levels. So, congratulations, Lisa. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
privilege to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Absolutely. It's been wonderful. And for everybody listening and watching, thank you so much. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Thank you. And if you could like, subscribe, and share this as well, do put your comments in too. Be in touch with Lisa. As I said, it's the introductory 15% offer on all of the biscuits that's on her website. And that's the code SPHERE, SPHERE 15 to have a wonderful cup of coffee, cup of tea, and a biscuit. Oh, can't wait. Everybody, thanks for listening and be successful and see you all again very soon. Bye bye now.